In the last lecture, we set up our in-app purchase and configured it already, and now it displays within the store, and all the information that it does display is coming from iTunes Connect. So now it's pretty much all set up. We're ready to press the buy button. It will go through the motions for us to sign in, purchase the in-app purchase, but once it does, it's not going to remove the ads. We haven't set it up to do that just yet. All we've actually set it up to do, if I jump back into the store viewcontroller.swift, is, if I scroll down, give us the ability to disable the buy button. And that's simply all it does. So what we need to do then is, once it makes that purchase, to create a saved point within the application. Then throughout the application, we're going to be loading up this save point. And basically saying if the save point has been made, meaning we've actually purchased the in-app purchase, then do something to remove the content. Else, if it hasn't, then simply continue on as normal, as if nothing happened. And to do this, we're going to be using NSUserDefaults. And this is something that we've used previously to actually save the high score within the game. But we're not saving information such as this text or the string that we saved for the score. We're just going to be creating a saved value or a saved point to, again, the key that we're having. So after it disables the buy button, we're going to simply set up a new function for it to, again, create a save point to a key within our application. So we're going to create a variable and then simply call it save, and that's going to equal to our user defaults. There we go. And that's going to be .standard. Then that we've just created there, our save, we're going to do .set value, which is just there, and we're going to set the value basically to equal true. So we are creating that save point once we call upon it. Now for key, this is the important one. We just simply give it a name. So we call it purchase. So we can then reference this for our application when we go to load the data to see if this point has been made. If we just reference purchase, we can then see if that, if the value is set to true or if basically if not. Then we need to synchronize the save. So we do save.synchronize. There we go. And that's pretty much been made. Now, for anywhere in the application, when we go to load our ads, we're first going to check if this save point has been made. Again, if it has, then we're not going to display the ads. If it hasn't, then we display the ads as normal. That's simply all we do. So if we then jump into, let's start with our viewcontroller.swift, because we've got 3 views, again, displaying the ads within our application. And we're currently displaying the ads within the view did load. Now, while that is great because we get ads coming and appearing straight away, if our user purchases the in-app purchase and returns to this view, it can't really read the view did load again to tell us to remove the ads. So what we need to do then is adjust everywhere in our application to where our ads are being displayed. And we need to adjust that to basically the view will appear. So within here, this is basically going to allow us to simply, every time this view appears in the application, meaning like if we dismiss the view and went back to it, it's going to call upon the function to again adjust the ads within the app. So we've already got within the view will appear down here, the ability to load up our high score within our application. So just underneath it, we're going to create a whole new function. And this function now is going to be, you have the ability to find out if that value or that key was made within our purchase key for our application. So we create a let and we call it save, pretty much what we did previously before. And this is going to be linked to our user defaults. Now this is pretty much the same kind of situation we created up above, just a little bit differently because we're not using strings to save the information to. So then what we do then is equal that, or to our user defaults what we've got, .standard. There we go. So once we've got that set up, we're going to create an if statement for if our save we created just up above .value for key here, which the name of our key we gave it, is it purchase or purchased? I'm not quite sure. Let me jump back into our store viewcontroller.swift. We set up to purchase. There we go. So we set up to purchase to simply equal nil. And then we simply end that there with our brackets and press enter. So what that's basically saying is if our value of purchase is equal again to the value of nil, meaning if there's nothing in it whatsoever, then what we're going to do is display our ads. So we select our ads up here, this whole 4 lines, copy those and delete them from the view did load. That's all we simply want to do. Then we're going to paste it instead in between the if statement here, or the kind of function we created for if our value of purchase equals nil. So there's nothing in it. Now, if there is something in it, else, what we then can simply do is get our banner view dot is hidden to equal true. So basically, the else means if our purchase key of the value does equal something. Now, the only time it's going to actually equal something is, again, if our user made that in-app purchase, because once they press the buy button and the transaction works, it sets the value to true, meaning, again, there's content inside of it. So again, we simply call upon this function in the view did load of every view, which the other two remaining views. So then when we go to build and run, so if I quickly go to build and run now then before I go any further, I can show you that it doesn't affect how the ads get displayed. Now, we haven't made that save point within the application just yet, so it will display ads as normal. As you can see, I can go to this view, return back, ads pretty much are still there. So what we do then is jump into our game view controller.swift, and the first thing I'm going to do is remove, as you can now see, the ads from our view did load. And we're going to scroll down now just a little bit underneath it, and we'll create a brand new view will appear function, and inside of it we'll place in the kind of if statement that we have now previously created. And we'll do the exact same thing now. We'll copy and paste this whole view will appear section, go to our end view controller, remove the ads within the view did load, and then paste in our view will appear function just underneath it or after it. And that's pretty much, we get it set up going throughout the whole of our application. So now, let's just simply see then, let's see exactly how it works and how it looks when we come to build and run on all the different views. Again, we haven't changed anything whatsoever. If I go to play the game as normal, we get all the usual ads now appear. We can tap away, we can play. It doesn't affect it whatsoever, but it's now set up in a way for if we do eventually change the save point, it can now remove all the ads. So we go back to restart and we're back to the start of our application. Pretty simple. So now all that's left to do then is actually go to purchase it and see it actually work. Now, because we're testing this out on the simulator, when we go to buy it, it will then trigger us to place in an app ID and password. Now, we don't want to use an actual real app ID or password because this is what is known as a sandbox environment, meaning it's in a test state. So we need to basically use a test account. And to do this, we're going to jump straight back into the internet and go over to iTunes Connect, which we've pretty much got here all set up. And within my apps up here at the top here, we can change this and go down to user and roles. Within user and roles, then head over to the sandbox testers and go in to add a new tester. All you need to do is give your name or create an email address, give it a password and stuff like that. And all that basically does, if I press cancel now, don't save those changes, is I've already got 2 test accounts pretty much all set up. And that allows me to do stuff like testing out in-app purchases within our applications. So once you've created your test account, unfortunately we can't really test it on the simulator. It's another funny one of those things, just like the in-app emailing and SMS messaging. So what I'm going to do now then is load it up on my device, and we're going to go to buy the in-app purchase and then sign in with my test account that I've just created, and then we'll see exactly how it then works. So now you can see my device being displayed on the screen, and then once we go to the store, we just wait for our data to now load up. So remove our ads, then we're going to hit the purchase button, and then once it does, we're then greeted with the message to either create a new Apple ID or use an existing one. Again, I'm going to use an existing Apple ID, and I'm now going to type in the actual email address and password for the test account I created within iTunes Connect. So once I got all that information in, I'm going to press buy. It then appears saying, do I want to confirm the in-app purchase for 99p? And see at the bottom there, it says environment sandbox. Again, it's a test account in a test state, so no money is going to be charged. And then we press buy. And there we go, it says you are all set, your purchase was successful. And you can now see in our title and our description, it says thank you, the product has been purchased. So we press OK. When I return to the application, that the ads have now disappeared. And this is all because it's working off the kind of load save file of the if statement. So if, again, the key is equal to nil, then simply continue to show the ads. Else if it doesn't, because we now created that save point once we purchased it, the ads now disappear. I can go through the whole of the application now and no ad will now be displayed. How cool is that? So we can continue to play like normal. Let's see if I can beat my high score of 107. Don't think I'm going to be able to. Oh no, just one short. How close was that? But as you can see, there is no ads inside at all throughout the whole of the application. But as we now turn off the device, and we're going to be returning now back to the simulator itself. Again, because we're unable to make the purchase on the simulator, because that's one of the things we can't do is test out an in-app purchase, that's going to still continue to display the ads solely because, again, we can't test it out. But you can now see the difference between, again, testing it and actually buying it versus when, we haven't bought it on a certain device. Again, this all comes down to pretty much this key here. We need to make sure that the key is case sensitive. Again, whatever you've told it to save to, for example, where we got it in here. We got a capital P there, so make sure if you got a capital P there on the purchase that you add it through all the other ones that it loads up, because it is case sensitive when it comes to the keys. So again, if that equals nil, nothing in it, display that as usual. Else, if it does equal something, meaning we've made that save point, then hide the banners throughout the whole application. And there we go. We can now earn revenue from either the ads or the in-app purchases within our game.